Okay, so welcome everybody to our discussion circle for Club MojoCircle. I'm Janeen Sonsi, and today we're presenting on how to stay motivated in a lockdown. And it's all about focus. So the things we'll be looking at today, oh, it says 5 steps, but there's only 4 there. I must have lost one. I must have to make up another one. I'll do that. So the first step is acceptance. And I think we're all getting to the stage now that we're in week 4 of lockdown where acceptance is coming a little more easily. At first, I don't know about you, but the first week or 2 were just, it was really hard because all of a sudden all of our freedoms had been taken away from us. And it was like, oh my God, what are we going to do if we can't do all of those things? And, how are we going to cope? So now if we're at the stage of acceptance, we're like, okay, this is where we're at. We can't change it. It's what we've got to deal with. So how do we best deal with it? The next step, as I was just sort of mentioning, it's about reducing our anxiety and fear. So that's part of acceptance. Once we accept, we actually reduce our anxiety significantly. It's also about not falling into the trap of the fear quicksand. Because if we just listen to all the bad stuff that's happening around the world and everything that's going wrong and just all the bad stuff that's happening around us, then we just get sucked into the fear quicksand, and it's really hard to get out of, because that's what increases our anxiety. Another thing that increases our anxiety is expectations. So setting expectations that can't be met, or having anticipation of things that can't be met, and then we get anxious about it. So the third step is, what do we need to do proactively? And the first thing in that is define what you want to do. What is it that you want to do? What is it that is going to make you happy within the confines of your home? And then the last step is build your daily schedule about it. Build something in that keeps you in a pattern where you're not going to be like collapse and go, oh, I don't know what to do. And of course, the 5th step is follow your daily schedule. See, I told you there was a 5th step. So let's have a look at acceptance. What do we mean? So the first one is stop fighting against what is. Now this applies to our confinement now, but it's actually really significant for life. If we can accept what's happened to us in life and surrender to where we are at, we increase our possibility of enjoying life so much. We give ourselves a chance to stop fighting against what we've got and start accepting and working with what we've got. So that's step 1. Next one, set realistic expectation of yourself and others, particularly if you're living with others in the same house. This can be really difficult that, if you've got teenagers in the house that you're not used to having. But set expectations of yourself. What is it fair for you to expect of yourself during this time? What is a suitable goal, an objective for you to set for yourself? What is it fair to expect of everybody else? Even the people that aren't living with you, if you want to be called, if you want to talk to people, what sort of expectation should you put on that so that you're not disappointed if people aren't calling you when you think they should? They're busy. Everyone's got stuff happening in our lives, but the really good thing that I find coming out of this confinement is that so many people have so much more time to talk to us, especially with our friends all around the world. And the time difference isn't as constrained because people aren't having to get up and go to work and then they come home and then they're tired. You know, people have got more time to be flexible with their time and with what they do. And I've had so many more discussions with people, both here in France and England and home in Australia since the confinement started, that I sort of want it to continue a bit because I'm enjoying that side of it. It's really good. But the thing with expectations, if we set them too high or if we have unrealistic expectations, you will always be disappointed. Always. Because your expectation doesn't get met, and then you're disappointed, and then you feel down, and then you go, oh, that's just stinks. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to get into that negative vibe. We want to stay in a positive vibe. So we want expectations that are actually really positive objectives for us to attain. And change your perception of the current situation. That goes along with acceptance. But it also relates to what I just said about, wow, the best thing about this confinement is, you know, being able to talk to more people, is being able to do some self-introspection, is having some time to actually do whatever it is I want to do when I want to do it. So instead of looking at all the things we've lost and we can't do because of the confinement, let's look at all the things that it does provide for us. The freedoms, the opportunities, you know, what is it that we do get out of this? Which follows into the last point of always look on the bright side of life. And you'd have to be a certain age to remember that movie at all. And a Monty Python fan, just for those who really don't have a clue what I'm talking about. Look up Monty Python and the life of Brian. Anyhow, but we want to look on the bright side of life, you know, and that's what I was saying about change your perception. Let's look at what's good about what we can do. So how do we go about reducing our anxiety and fear? And I do have 5 steps here. So our first step, actually the first 2 steps, relate to our mindset and being mindful. So step 2 is adopt an optimistic mindset and attitude. So let's be positive about this. And I'm not one of those people who says, oh, let's be positive about everything, even when, oh, you know, your whole family's died. No. So, well, I don't know, there might be positives in that for some people. They may not have liked their family, or there might be a huge inheritance coming to them. I don't know, maybe there's some positives. But, you know, we'd still have to grieve, we still have to feel, and we can't, and it's not about suppressing your feelings. It is about looking for that positive and optimistic perspective and focusing on that rather than the negatives. So to do this, we need to manage our thoughts and feelings. And this is where mindfulness comes in. So the first one is about mindset. This one is about mindfulness, being conscious of what is it we're thinking and how does that thinking make us feel, or what is it we are feeling and what does that make us think? And picking ourselves up when we start thinking negative thoughts, we start getting caught in that fear quicksand and our anxiety starts rising. You know, say, okay, well, I don't need to think about that now because all it's doing is actually making me feel really bad. And that's not achieving anything except making me feel a bit depressed and down. So how do I change my thoughts and go, okay, well, what is the good side of that? What can I think about that is going to make me feel good and feel happier? And then I'm more mindful of where I'm at in the moment. And very much mindfulness is about focusing on the present moment. So what is happening for you right now in this minute without worrying about the future, without thinking about the past? And what can I do to feel good right here, right now? I mentioned earlier, stop watching the news all the time, limit your exposure to all of that negative news feed. That will really help you reduce your anxiety and fear. The fourth one, always imagine the best outcomes and not the worst for you and the whole world. So what's happening is a lot of people are getting caught up in anxiety, and they're talking about, well, how is this going to affect us? How's this going to affect the world? What if we're stuck in this for months? You know, what if lots of people die? And that's just imagining the worst outcome. And when we worry, all worry is imagination. And it's imagining the worst possible outcomes. So if it's just imagination, what if we imagined the best possible outcomes? What if we imagined that there's actually some really good stuff that's going to come about from this confinement, from this virus? Maybe there's some really good things, like people are going to be so much more conscious of their health. People might be saying, wow, that working from home worked really well. Maybe I don't need to go into the office 5 days a week. And bosses are going to be, well, yes, you have to. Why? It worked fine when I was in confinement. So maybe that's a good outcome that can come of it. Maybe for me, I'm just like, I'm not going to get sick. I just know it. I believe it in my core, in my heart. I know I'm not getting sick, and I feel I've got great health. I can cope with anything. And I'm also being safe, and I've gone out, I think, 3 or 4 times for groceries since, and once to go and get fresh water from the local water fountain. So I am being careful, and I live alone. I've just got 2 cats, so I'm not mixing with people at all, really. But yeah, let's just keep that imagination for positive stuff and not for the negative stuff. And the last one comes to what I just said then, believe you can get through this easily. Because if you tell yourself, I can do this and I can do it easily, and it's actually going to be really good for me, and there's lots of really good stuff that I can do that I wasn't able to do before, then all of a sudden you're immediately going to start feeling good. And much better than if you go, oh, I don't know how I'm going to cope. I just really need to go out. I need to go and do the things. I need to go and walk. That doesn't mean we can't miss it. Of course we're going to miss things. We're allowed to do that. But just believe, it's like, yeah, I miss all of that, but I can get through it. You know, those of us who are lucky to have lovely views and see outside. I mean, the good thing is we're in our own homes. You know, we can't feel more comfortable than that. You know, at least we're not stuck in a hole somewhere. You know, at least our homes still exist. At least we can choose what we do. We can still go and buy food. There's plenty of food around. You know, it's not that hard. We can do it. We just have to learn to be with ourselves and like ourselves and do things that are good. So the next step is, well, what are those things that we can do? So the first thing you need to do is decide, what is it you want to do? What is it you want to use this time positively and fruitfully for? And get clarity around that. So the steps in doing that are sit and think about it. And if you meditate, take some quiet time to just meditate on it and allow the thoughts to go, what do I really want? What do I really want to do? And what comes to you? Then create a list. You know, after you've sort of got all these thoughts, put them down, pen and paper, write them down. What are all the things that you can do that is possible while you're in confinement? And make sure you certainly include some creative and some learning activities, because as I said, it's a fantastic opportunity to exercise our mind and our heart and our soul, and do some things that make our hearts sing. The third step is you've got to cross out what you can't do, what you're not allowed to do. So brainstorming is great. So we come up with lots of fabulous ideas, but then we do have to cross out, well, okay, what's not going to work now? Or maybe we don't cross it out. Maybe we just go, okay, that's for AC, after confinement. So we mark, oh yeah, yeah, that's something I really want to do, and that's something I can do when the confinement's completed. Then with the list that you've got left, prioritize it. So go through and mark what is most important to you, and also what excites you the most. Now, I know that doing housework is on my list. I know that cleaning out kitty litter is on my list. And it's a have to do. So you might actually have to split your list into two. What are the things you have to do? You know, like washing, cleaning, going grocery shopping. Actually, hasn't grocery shopping become the highlight of the week? It's like, oh my God, I'm going to put like proper outdoor clothes on, and I might even put some makeup on just because I can, just for the excuse. I'm going outside. But no, so we have a list. What are the things we have to do? Feeding children is one of the things you have to do, I'm afraid. Looking after your children, if you've got them, making sure they're entertained, no matter what their age, that's something we have to do. So create your list, and you can either prioritize it in 1 through to however many and go, what's my important thing to do first? I've always liked, for time planning, having priorities of A, B, and C. And A is the most important thing. That's what I want to do first, or what I have to do first. B is the thing that it's like, okay, well, that's next. After I've done all my A's, then I'll do my B's, because they're next important. And the C's are the things that you put in a drawer and go, yeah, when I'm really bored, I'll get them out. And I've always applied that in business as well. Is the C's are the things that if no one's demanding it, no one's asking for it, I don't feel the desire to do it, therefore I'm not going to. And also, one other thing that I've learned in my time is that it was when I was sort of trying to get another business up and going, and there were things that I just had to do, but I wasn't motivated to do them. And I realized that if I'm not motivated to do it, then it's not meant to be done yet. So if you don't feel motivated to do it, I left my housework for 3 weeks on this basis. If you're not motivated to do it, then leave it until a day where you are motivated to do it. Then the next thing is create your daily routine. So create something that keeps you healthy in body, mind, and soul, and keeps you going, through each day. So great to start to define a morning routine. I think a lot of people are benefiting from saying, yeah, okay, I get up in the morning and I do yoga, or I do a meditation, or I listen to a positive YouTube video, and I have my breakfast. Whatever it is your routine is, do something that gets you up and energized, and moving your body and accessing your mind is really good for doing that in the morning. Then allocate time for what's on your to-do list that you've just created. So what time of the day is best for you? Are you like really energized in the morning and you go into more of a slump in the afternoon? Or are you like me? I don't really get going till midday. So my to-do list things need to be in the afternoon, because that's when I'm at my most active and energized. Make sure you include some relax and rest time. And make sure, yes, some rest and relax time. Include some exercise and physical movement. Absolutely imperative, especially while we're sitting around the house so much. If that's a walk, with the distance that you're allowed to go for a walk outside, or if it's doing a yoga off YouTube. I really love cold chance yoga. Another one that's been recommended to me is yoga with Adrienne. or Pilates. I mean, they're my things. I have the mats. I put it out in the lounge and I do it in front of my TV. But you've got to do what works for you. Dancing is a fantastic way to move. It gets the endorphins going in the body, and you just feel great. So yeah, I love dancing, and just listening to music. You know, that's a really good way of helping you as you move through whatever it is you need to do through the day. Then we have, don't forget your family activities. If you have a family, or if you want to talk to people outside the family, that's fantastic. You know, make sure you give them the priority that they deserve as well. And remember, games are great for us. Games that are entertaining, games that you can play online with people around the world, games that you play with your family if you've got a family in. I think most of us here are on our own, but games are fun. Anything that makes you laugh. I think I left that out. Do something every day that makes you laugh. If that's just reading jokes on Facebook, watching funny videos, watching a funny show, because laughter is the best medicine. And we all need to laugh every day. So each morning, you know, when you've got this routine, you've got it sorted out, you know what you're going to be doing. You'll wake up in the morning and go, oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing that thing that I said today. It might be a craft, it might be making something, it might be painting something, drawing something, or it might be just going for that walk because you want to go and check out, you know, what's around the block. How many of us have seen exactly what's around our block? My block's really weird because it goes up the hill one way, and I don't have a block. I have it goes all over the place. So I can't go around the block. But anyhow, use our routine to keep you motivated, to keep you focused on doing the things that you know you want to do. And as Nike said, just do it. And the last thing to finish off is express gratitude every day for the goodness. Find what the goodness is in your life and express the gratitude for it morning and night. But especially at night, think of all the things you've done, you know, how much you enjoyed it, and go, thank you. Thank you to me for getting me to do that. And you will feel more motivated. You will get things done that you feel proud of, and you will keep yourself healthier in body, mind, and soul. So that's the end of this presentation. So thank you very much for listening in and watching, and I will see you next time.